Well, hello there. I just wanted to hop in here and do a live stream and give a shout out to our new group members. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Brianna McWilliam. I am an author, educator, Reiki practitioner, and a creative arts therapist. And I've been in the field for about 12 years now. My focus is primarily on psychospiritualism, mindfulness, and creative arts therapies approaches to working with attachment wounds. And so today, what I wanted to do is to kind of address what happens when someone first comes to me. And usually they are looking for some kind of guidance. They want to process either an intense breakup or perhaps figure out this relationship that isn't going so well, and they're really looking for some kind of quick fix or technique to help them solve the problem or get the other person to do what they want them to do, or somehow fix themselves so the other person wants them again, that kind of thing. And so the question is typically, tell me how to make this relationship work. How can I do better? How can I make them come back to me? Or sometimes the question is more like, I feel so alive in the beginning of relationships, but then sometimes the feelings just dissipate really quickly, and all of a sudden I'm just moving on to someone else. And the same thing happens all over again. What is wrong with me? Why is it that I can't stick it out in relationships? And so to my mind, when I get these kinds of questions, I'm really being asked for a hit. I'm being asked for a hit. Where can I get my next high, Brianna? How can I make that happen? Because typically when we're caught in these kinds of roller coaster relationships, we're actually under the influence of some pretty heavy duty and intense brain chemistry going on. And of course, this influences our psychology in equally powerful and intense ways. Okay. Now, with mindfulness-based practices in creative arts therapies, we can work to shift your experience of yourself and your relationships, including and starting with the body level. But there are two things that you have to do first. And the first thing is you have to decide that you're no longer willing to live this way, that you are no longer willing to live this way, regardless of what a partner says, does, thinks, or wants to do. Right? And the second thing is you have to commit to taking action yourself in order to make those significant changes in your life. Okay. So just like with addiction, there is no quick fix for the problem that you're trying to solve with some kind of short-term solution or escape. Okay. And the best way that I can think of to help you kind of reframe your experience so that you can focus on the I instead of transferring your addiction to a new partner or clinging to an old one, or calling in the same old circumstances again, is this. So whenever you find yourself asking, how can I fix this problem? How can I make this relationship work? How and when will I meet somebody new that's going to make me happy? Right? You have to reframe the question. And you want to say, how can I feel sovereign and resilient within myself and my own skin so that I know without a doubt that I will be fine and I will still find love with someone else eventually? How can I commit to that belief and conviction, knowing that I am the creator of my own reality and willing to take radical responsibility for my life and my experience of it? Now, this doesn't mean I'm not empathetic towards your pain. I have absolutely been there myself, which is why I've studied so much about this stuff. But you know what? I have an even greater respect for your power. And that is the part that needs to be seen and mirrored back to you far more than your suffering. Don't you think you've had enough of that? Now, I want you to think about in this moment what you want and why you want it. I want a partner that's going to make me happy. Why? Well, because I don't know how to be happy alone. Why? Well, because probably a multitude of reasons, the gist of which is I don't really like myself. I get bored alone. Bored alone meaning you get bored with yourself, your own thoughts. You can't tolerate the chatter going on inside your mind. If someone were at a cocktail party were actually voicing aloud the things you sometimes tell yourself in your head, you would avoid that person at all costs, wouldn't you? We are so unkind to ourselves. Okay. And, this may be more of an anxiously attached individual's dialogue on the surface, but I would argue that even individuals with more of an avoidant or dismissive attachment style also feel this way, if perhaps, more on an unconscious level. So they might feel disconnected from a desire for intimate feelings, but deep down, they're usually looking for a way out by telling themselves that there must be better opportunities out there, or someone else is somehow going to swoop in and fill their heart up and rescue them from their isolation in a way that doesn't challenge them with difficult feelings or too much conflict in this path towards intimacy, right? It's just going to poof, magically be there, and they're never going to have to work for it. But at the basis of that fantasy, there's still a desire for connection, okay? And so in either of these scenarios, the first thing you're committing to is really learning to first like yourself, okay? And then eventually love yourself. So would you want to date a partner that didn't like themselves, that wasn't confident in being in a relationship? Of course not. You want a partner that feels confident and happy within themselves, because that allows for a love that feels like freedom rather than emotional enslavement and manipulation, right? Tied up in control mechanisms and power plays, right? And so because a partner that likes and loves themselves has a far greater capacity for seeing you and loving you for who you really are, instead of projecting all their old baggage onto you and reliving their old tired, worn out wounds, right? So do you really want to play the role of mother to your partners? Do you really want to be the whipping post for your lover's daddy issues? Well, no, not when I put it like that, right? But, in the moment, it feels like infatuation, doesn't it? It feels like fireworks and butterflies, and it's meant to be, and it's predestined, and it's, it's fate, it's destiny, okay? And so you fall into it, and you think, I have the butterflies in my stomach, it's just meant to be, until your worst nightmare comes true and you're rejected and abandoned again, and all of a sudden you're reliving your childhood or your past relationships all over again. Right? And so the drama continues, and you search for your next hit. You either transfer it onto the next partner, or you fall into short-term escapes, whatever those might be. Because as much as you know it's unhealthy for you, those secure types, right, those other type of people are just too nice, or they're too boring, or it's too easy. And you keep telling yourself that you could never really survive in a relationship like that because you couldn't summon up enough passion for it, right? I'm here to tell you, the partner who knows themselves, the partner who owns themselves, the partner who doesn't need to generate and create that much drama will not be boring. The partner who owns themselves will have interests and passions that they will not sacrifice because you don't like them. But they will make space for things that you might like, even if they don't like them. The partner who owns themselves will demand of you a deeper honesty than you have ever experienced before, because they know themselves just as deeply, and they want to be seen just as eagerly as you do, without judgment or fantastic expectations and idealizations. And you have to be knowledgeable enough of yourself to be able to meet them in that place. Okay. The partner who owns themselves will love your no's just as much as your yeses, because your yeses mean nothing without your no's. This is about boundaries. This is about standing by who you are and what you want, regardless of what someone else thinks. Okay? The partner who owns themselves, they're not going to want to crack you open like a nut right away. They want to be the sun that inspires you to open like a blossom in the morning. There's a gentle process there. Okay? And so when you meet this partner that owns themselves, that knows themselves, that loves themselves, you will know it just as when you knew all those other soulmate lesson learning partners that just carved you up like a pumpkin, right? But it's not going to feel urgent. That's the difference. There will be the tingles, there will be the butterflies, but there won't be a sense of desperate urgency. Okay? When you are with someone that owns themselves, there will be no need for it. When you are with the partner that is your true vibrational match, there will be a recognition that you have all the time in the world. And so you can take your time. You want to take your time. You want to anticipate every delicious moment of that courtship and pick up the sweet nuances of each other. When you have a delicious and expensive meal that is served to you in this gorgeous restaurant that you only just got reservations for, do you just mow down and gobble it up? No, you savor it. You take teeny tiny bites. You want to make this last, right? Because it is the most pleasurable and sensual experience that you could have. The urgency that we have in these cis boom ba relationships right away is really born of that fear of abandonment and insecurity. And so when you meet your person, you will know, and that knowing will be without the urgency. It will feel more like coming home. And in that case, how would urgency or fear serve you besides trampling over the blossoms to crack the nut open prematurely because you're trying to reassure yourself of something? Okay. Now, worthy of consideration here is, how can the seed of love and desire grow if you haven't tilled your ground first? This is what I'm talking about, deciding and committing to yourself first, okay? So you know you want a healthy relationship, step one, right? Just in the wanting of it, you have created that seed, okay? The seed is there. It's even planted. You want it, so the possibility exists. But you've been so busy going around and watering all the neighbors' gardens, okay, that your soil is dry, it's parched, it hasn't been nourished. And if you want that seed to grow, you're going to have to water it, okay? Now, let's say you do. Let's say you start to water your seed, and maybe something starts to spring up out of the ground, a shoot or a bud or something, okay? Do you yank at it? Do you wake up every night and go down trying to pull that thing up out of the ground and make it grow faster? No, because you know that if you did that, you would kill it. Because you would have an understanding that patience and consistent care and attention and sunlight allows that bloom to evolve into the beautiful, colorful life form that it was meant to be. And so when you ask me, how can I fix this problem? How can I make this relationship work? How can I meet someone new that's going to make me happy? Okay, you're really asking me, how do I make that bud grow faster? How do I yank it just right so I get what I want? Okay, there is no answer for that. There's no answer for that. But if you were to ask me, what kind of plant food can I add to the soil? How can I increase the amount of sunlight my bud receives each day? How do I occupy myself while waiting for the bud to blossom? Well, that I can help you with. And it's exactly what you learn about in my 7-week signature course on healing attachment wounds with mindfulness and creative arts therapies. Okay. And if you want to learn more about my course, I am offering special discounts on it right now. Additionally, an option for a payment plan. And so it is 7 creative, fun, easy lessons over the course of 7 weeks that take you from feeling lost and confused about your romantic relationships to stepping into your fullest and most sovereign self without having to talk in circles around your feelings for hours or even years on end without any tangible result. And it does work. Okay. I had one participant recently who said that this program did for her in 7 weeks what years of self-help and cognitive therapy couldn't do. I believe so strongly in this process of using mindfulness and creative arts therapies and body-based work to help you move through these kinds of attachment wounds. Okay. So I invite you to check out the course while it is on special for a limited time. And I promise you, you'll be so glad you did. And if you have questions and comments, please leave them in the thread below. It is always wonderful fodder for more live streams like this, and I would love to respond to however you are receiving these things. Okay, thank you so much for joining me.